Did you say chocolate?
Let's face it, the chocolate bars we choose to eat can make or break our day. If we decide to try one out and it's absolutely awful and it later vanishes from store shelves, it's no big loss. But those epic chocolate bars we love from the first bite can definitely cause us to be transported somewhere else entirely, in a good way. And it's these bars we end up missing the most if they vanish. Here are 10 discontinued chocolate bars we miss, Part 1.
There can be only one.
Kat Caramac.
Hit the sack, Jack!
Well, by now we all know that caramel and chocolate go very well together. After all, the Caramilk bar is pretty famous, and many enjoy its rich and pleasurable combination, almost as much as they love playing the game of trying to figure out how the caramel is inserted into the exquisite bar. So it's no wonder that other chocolate bar brands wanted to get in on the game as well. It wasn't too long ago that Kit Kat released this caramel bar, and although Kit Kat is known to release some pretty odd flavor pairings when it comes to their bars, this one was pretty run-of-the-mill, as they say. And although there were a few that enjoyed it, perhaps it was its simplicity and run with the norm that caused its untimely demise.
That's it. I'm killing myself.
As many are and were used to Kit Kats that were outside the regular sort to be a tad more extravagant. After all, in Japan, there are over 50 astonishing flavors offered in the form of the Kit Kat bar we know and love. Perhaps caramel was a little too simple to satisfy fans of the bar and its forays into the wild and crazy flavors offered. But there are those that miss this one. 2005 marked the last time the Kit Kat Caramac was seen in stores.
Mac, look at me.
Taz. The Cadbury Confectionery Company goes way back. And when we say way back, we mean really back there on the old timeline. Is 195 years way back enough for you? We thought so. It's true, the company got its start back in 1824, and well, it hasn't looked back since, releasing chocolate treat after chocolate treat. And although not all of the treats created by the great minds at Cadbury were instantaneous hits, they have created some of the most important and successful chocolate bars the world has ever seen. But unfortunately, some of these have gone the way of boxy television sets, and the only way you can taste them now would be to travel back in time, and that isn't all that possible just yet.
Changing the past doesn't change the future.
And it wasn't that long ago that Cadbury and Warner Brothers Studios teamed up to create a chocolate bar that offered a whirlwind of flavor. The ever-popular character of the Tasmanian Devil definitely reached across the screen and touched audiences all over. And why not? Maybe it was the gibberish he spoke, or rather the tornado he represented, moving from scenario to scenario. Whatever it was, he surely became a household name. So creating a chocolate bar that featured his essence was a no-brainer on the part of the good people over at Cadbury. But like so many things from the years gone by, it fell out of favor with consumers, and that's a definite shame, as it would be nice to hold on to some of the things from our long-gone past, wouldn't it?
That's all, folks.
Cadbury's Snowflake.
Snowflake!
Now, what could sound more appetizing or refreshing than a snowflake? Can you remember being a kid and waiting for that first snowfall of the winter season? The snow that would come signified countless hours of fun outdoors. But for many, opening your mouth and sticking out your tongue and letting the fresh snowflakes land ever so softly was probably the highlight of the first snowfall.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
And we have no doubt that this was the sentiment Cadbury was going for here. Now, we understand that a snowflake sure doesn't pack a tasty wallop worthy of praise or delight, but it's the essence of the craving for that first snowfall that likens the experience to a chocolate bar, as what can you crave more than a sweet piece of chocolate? The comparison is actually quite fair, at least for us, that is, but we're sure you agree. Cadbury's Snowflake Bar wasn't launched all that long ago. At the turn of the century, in fact, in the year 2000. But it didn't stay on the shelves all that long, as it was discontinued in 2008. But we sure had a good 8 years, didn't we? Yes, indeed. And oh, the memories.
Now you're infecting my memory with your memory.
Mars Delight.
Maybe a little afternoon delight.
Just try to imagine how good a particular item of food would have to be to create in people the type of wanton desire to inspire them to start online petitions for the return of said particular item. You'd think we're kidding, but in reality, this happens far more often than you'd likely imagine.
I'm talking, of course, about the overwhelming victory
of Bodie McBoatface.
As it turns out, there is a petition online getting some attention to have the good people at Mars bring back this particular candy bar. And why not, as it sold pretty well while it was around. Now, Mars isn't as old and established as Cadbury. The company sure has released quite a few tasty treats that many have adored and even cherished. The Mars Delight is an obvious one that people still miss to this day. The bar was very different from the classic Mars bar, and perhaps it was this that made it so popular, as many consumers like change. It contained a wafer coated in caramel cream as opposed to nougat and plain caramel. It was coated in milk chocolate, and that is the only similarity between the two offerings.
I can't tell the difference anymore between something that's good and something that's awful.
Cadbury's nuts about caramel.
This is nuts.
Cadbury has tried to play the caramel card over and over again, time after time. And why wouldn't they? After all, they produced one of the most successful chocolate bars the world has ever seen. But in the end, it is the caramel bar that wins out and stands the test of time.
I am inevitable.
Still, the fact that it's still around doesn't halt people from missing the other bars offered by the company, like this one here. Now, the essence of the Cadbury's Nuts About Caramel bar lies within the appropriate name, and it was the nuts that made it different from the classic caramel bar, and also what probably made it a little less popular, as there are many out there that don't particularly like nuts in their sweets. But the company even released ice cream bars that shared the same name and list of ingredients, and although they did well, both items were last seen quite some time ago.
Seems like a long time ago.
The 54321 bar.
Thunderbirds are go.
The actual title, 54321, was the name of a song by the British band Manfred Mann. That was way back in 1964, however, and the 54321 chocolate bar was a child of the 80s, 1982 to be exact, and it sold particularly well. However, it didn't survive the 80s, as it was discontinued in 1989, and it's still sorely missed by many to this day. The popular commercial featured a song that was very reminiscent of 60s British rock pop, so maybe the name borrowed from Manfred Mann wasn't exactly coincidental.
Java Man, Piltdown Man, Manfred Man.
In reality, it is in fact the same song, only with the lyrics changed. It's also a title to a semi-popular Flo Rida song entitled Turn Around 54321. But the similarities between the two songs stop there, of course. The name for the bar, however, came from the 5 different ingredients that composed the bar: fused water, Rice Krispies, fondant, milk chocolate, and of course caramel. The bar promised and delivered an explosive flavor that many are still dreaming about.
It was a dream.
Jacob's Trio.
We were trio instead of a double date that night.
Yet another chocolate bar on our illustrious list of chocolate bars sorely missed by the masses that got its start in the 80s. And while the era was a time for partying, we'd surely say that it was also a time for tasty treats and, of course, epic Saturday morning cartoons. We mention cartoons because the advertisement for this chocolate bar actually was shot entirely as a cartoon, and probably this was done on purpose. A catchy tune and tagline were also added to the commercial, and the general public was hooked from the first reel of the ad. The song was a play on the ever-popular Day-O, instead replacing the lyrics with Trio.
Actually, I was worried you'd say Beetlejuice 3 times.
The cartoon accompanying the song was cute in and of itself and featured the cartoon character of Susie in hot pursuit of a large shipment of Trio bars. Simple enough, yet oh so effective. The bar was discontinued in 2003, but unbelievably, it made a return in 2016 after a campaign was launched for its return on Facebook, believe it or not. The power of united voices, huh?
This you should vote. Me. I leave power. Good.
Mars White Maltesars.
Maltesers, at less than 11 calories each. You'll need new ways to be naughty.
As they say, white chocolate isn't for everyone. And as the limited time these treats had on the shelves will prove, there's more to the statement after all. Maltesers are pretty popular, and the regular sort can still be found. But the white chocolate ones had a definitely limited run on the market. Yet another offering by the Mars Company, these treats were adored by those who love white chocolate and would do anything to get a mere taste of the substance any chance they get.
Anything? Anything! All right, well, you're gonna have to take off your shirt.
start. Yet the lack of sales overall is what caused this chocolate to be taken off the shelves and subsequently halted completely. Now, there are many other white chocolate brands out there, of course, but the airy and light taste that these particular treats brought on is sorely missed by many white chocolate lovers the world over.
Would you like to try some white chocolate?
Yuck. That'll make me sick.
Nestle's Toffo. Here, the essential star ingredient in this bar by Nestle is all in the name, or rather, a play on the name. And toffee is an adored treat loved by many the world over. Toffee is made by combining both caramel and molasses, and the end result is nothing short of spectacular. So many treats like candies, desserts, cookies, and of course, chocolate bars contain this star ingredient.
If we took the bones out, it wouldn't be crunchy, would it?
The Toffo bar, which should have just been called the Toffee bar, let's face it, struggled in its day to reach that global acceptance that the company had hoped for. But it surely had its fans, of course, and they are all missing this treat to this very day, still dreaming about the rich taste and texture. But they can dream all they want, as it won't be returning anytime soon. Unless somebody starts an online petition, that is. As we've learned, that tactic seems pretty effective.
It doesn't matter anyway, because it's not like he can change reality, right?
Fox's Echo Bars.
Echo, echo, echo.
Echoes are still a wonderment shared by many, as the rebound of one's voice, or any sound for that matter, is pretty spectacular and one of nature's many interesting phenomena. And speaking of phenomenal things this planet has to offer, the many treats and bars we all enjoy can be considered pretty amazing as well. Aptly named, the Echo Bar was just that, and the combination of white chocolate and milk chocolate brought the best of both worlds together.
Just ignore it. It's non-diegetic.
Regardless, the Echo definitely packed a punch worthy of its praise. And if you'd like to give it a try, we're afraid you can't. Just imagine, if you will, singing loud and proud into a valley, expecting an echo in return, only to hear an utter and mocking silence come back at you instead.
That's my exit cue.
Get more great Babbletop videos right now by tapping on that screen. And for new viewers, don't forget to swat that subscribe button and ring that bell to join our notification squad.